Pressure on Mendez. Rip into the body, drops him.
That's it.
Every fighter talks about being nervous before a fight, but when the name Alexander Volkanovski is announced, the nerves hit on a different level. I am not talking about hype or trash talk fear. I am talking about the kind of fear that comes from knowing you are about to face someone who has solved mixed martial arts at the highest level. Volkanovski does not walk to the octagon like a man chasing greatness. He walks like a man protecting something that already belongs to him. That mindset alone changes the entire fight before the first punch is even thrown. When you face Volkanovski, you are not just fighting skill, you are fighting preparation, discipline, and an understanding of pressure that very few fighters ever reach. He is calm in there. That calmness messes with opponents because chaos is usually where fights are decided. Against Volkanovski, chaos does not work. He thrives in control, and that control begins the second the cage door shuts. A lot of fans still look at Volkanovski and underestimate him because of his size. That is a mistake fighters pay for very quickly. He may not be the tallest featherweight, but his frame is dense, powerful, and built for pressure. His background as a former rugby league player shows up clearly in clinch exchanges and takedown defense. When he puts his weight on you, it feels heavier than it should. What makes it worse is how efficiently he manages his energy. Facing Volkanovski means dealing with sharp movement rather than reckless pace. He stays in range, cuts angles, and forces clean exchanges instead of wild brawls. Even when you land something solid, he stays composed, resets his stance, and answers back with precision. Over time, that efficiency wears opponents down without him needing to push himself past his limits. One of the scariest parts about facing Alexander Volkanovski is realizing that he is not getting tired. Fighters often enter the third round hoping Volkanovski will slow down. With Volkanovski, that hope dies quickly. His cardio is elite, even by championship standards. He does not breathe heavy between rounds. He does not look for rest moments. He keeps the pace high and forces you to work every second. That endurance creates psychological stress. When you start slowing down and he stays consistent, doubt creeps in. Your reactions lag, your footwork stiffens, and openings appear where none existed earlier. Volkanovski notices those moments instantly and tightens his control instead of chasing reckless finishes, which makes the situation feel unavoidable. Volkanovski is not just throwing punches to land damage. Everything he throws has a purpose. His jab is not flashy, but it controls distance and vision. His leg kicks are timed to disrupt balance rather than chase knockouts. When he throws combinations, they're short and efficient. He rarely overcommits, which means countering him is extremely difficult. What makes his striking scary is how quickly he adapts. If you check his kicks, he switches targets. If you start slipping his jab, he feints and goes to the body. Facing him feels like playing chess at full speed while he is already 3 moves ahead. You might win an exchange early, but he will download that information and punish you for it later.
Volkanovski's most underrated weapons is his feint game. He feints strikes, level changes, and footwork constantly. Fighters end up reacting to things that never come. That hesitation is deadly. In MMA, a split-second pause is enough to eat a clean shot or get backed into the fence. His feints force constant decision-making. You are trying to separate real attacks from false signals while staying defensively responsible. That mental strain builds alongside the physical battle, and mistakes start happening simply because your focus is split too many ways at once. Even if Volkanovski does not plan to wrestle heavily in a fight, the threat is always there. His takedown defense is elite, sitting around 70% across his UFC career, but his offensive wrestling is just as dangerous when he chooses to use it. He shoots at the right moments, usually when opponents are overextended or tired. Once he gets you against the cage, escaping becomes extremely difficult. His balance is outstanding. He switches grips smoothly and uses short strikes to keep you guessing. You cannot just focus on defending the takedown because he is punching while doing it. This constant mix of striking and wrestling drains energy fast and leaves very few openings for counters. Fighting Volkanovski along the fence is one of the worst places to be. He understands cage control better than most champions. He angles his body to cut off exits and forces opponents to move where he wants them to go. It feels like the cage is shrinking. When you try to circle out, he steps with you. When you plant your feet, he pressures. That control creates frustration. Fighters start throwing desperate shots just to get space. Volkanovski welcomes those mistakes. He slips, counters, and resets the position right back where he wants it. The scariest reality of facing Alexander Volkanovski is mental. He does not talk much inside the cage, but his actions send a clear message. He shows you that your best shots are not enough. He shows you that your game plan is not working. Every round that passes without success eats away at confidence. By the championship rounds, many fighters stop believing they can win. That is when Volkanovski becomes truly dangerous. He senses doubt and pushes harder. He doesn't need a finish to dominate, but when the opening appears, he takes it without hesitation. Volkanovski has spent years fighting at the highest level. He first won the UFC featherweight title in December 2019 and reclaimed it again in 2025, building deep experience in 5-round championship fights. He has defended his title against elite competition and gone 5 rounds multiple times. That experience shows in how calm he remains under pressure. When a fight gets tough, he does not abandon his game plan. He trusts it. Facing someone with that level of experience feels overwhelming. You might be talented, you might be hungry, but Volkanovski has already been where you are trying to go. He knows what championship adversity feels like, and that knowledge gives him a massive edge.
What separates Volkanovski from many great fighters is his ability to adjust mid-fight. He does not wait for the corner to fix problems. He makes changes on the fly. If a strategy is not working, he shifts without hesitation. This adaptability makes him terrifying because there is no single weakness to exploit. Even if you find early success, he will respond. By the later rounds, the fight rarely looks the same as it did in the beginning. Fighters who rely on momentum struggle badly against someone who keeps evolving. Many opponents describe fighting Volkanovski as a gradual unraveling. It is not decided by one dramatic moment, but by steady losses in timing, positioning, and control. Exchanges that felt even early on start slipping away, and by the later rounds, the scorecards reflect that shift. He values every second, and that discipline usually decides the outcome. Win or lose, fighting Alexander Volkanovski changes fighters. Some come out sharper after surviving 5 rounds with him. Others leave discouraged after realizing how high the bar truly is. He exposes weaknesses that lower-level competition never touches. That is why his opponents often talk about the fight long after it is over. Facing him is a lesson in what elite MMA really looks like. It is humbling, painful, and unforgettable. At the end of the day, the terrifying reality of facing Alexander Volkanovski is simple. You are stepping into the cage with someone who is better prepared than you in almost every area. He is not unbeatable, but he is incredibly hard to beat. He forces you to be perfect for 5 rounds, and very few fighters can do that. When the cage door closes, there is no hiding from that truth. You either rise to the moment or get slowly broken by it. And that is why facing Alexander Volkanovski remains one of the scariest challenges in all of MMA.